Welcome to American Dream. I'm Cynthia McKinney, your host, and our topic today is U.S. racism in the age of Obama. Joining us in our studio, we have Marian Douglas Ungaro, an international human rights consultant. We have Dr. Jared Ball with us from Morgan State, a professor at Morgan State University. And joining us by telephone from New York is Glen Ford, co-editor of BlackAgendaReport.com. I would like to start off by talking about what some of our acceptable political pundits have to say about this topic. Let's hear what Bill Bennett said right after candidate Obama became President-elect Obama.
Does anyone know what this means in terms of change of race relations in the United States, or a perception of it?
Well, I'll tell you one thing it means. As a former Secretary of Education, you don't take any excuses anymore from anybody who says the deck is stacked, I can't do anything, there's so much inbuilt this and that. There are always problems in a big society. But we have just, if this turns out to be the case, President Obama, we have just achieved an incredible milestone for which the world needs to have more respect for the United States than it sometimes does.
Well, the world should have more respect for the United States because we have President Obama now. Marian, what do you say about that?
Well, it certainly has gotten the world's attention, and I think the world has an impression, but I don't think the impression is really reflective of the reality.
Well, I mean, I'd simply say that this election was always arranged to be an international campaign designed to re-inscribe American imperialism as the safe, dominant entity in the world, and proving to those who would question that even we can raise up, when qualified, we can raise up even one of our most oppressed and make him president, which, as Bennett was describing there, means that he will be used as the excuse or the exception that proves the rule of black inferiority, that even one of the more inferior members or groups of this society can rise to the level of presidency if you do and demonstrate that you are as remarkable as he has apparently to them. So
that's very interesting, and we're going to come back to that. Glenn, what are your thoughts about what Bill Bennett had to say?
Well, my reaction to Bill Bennett's clip when he states that Obama's election shows that we have accomplished something so tremendous is, what you mean we, white man? What Obama's election has caused whites in general, or corporate media in particular, and certainly right-wing white people like Bill Bennett to conclude, is that it's all right for them to proclaim the beginning of some kind of age of race neutrality. And that actually translates as a negation of all specific black grievances. That is, black complaints are now considered illegitimate because, well, we've had that election. That is the watershed event. Y'all can just sit down and shut up from now on.
That's very interesting, and that brings us to our next point, because Bill Bennett went on to say this. Let's bring up our quote from Bill Bennett again. He says, Obama never brings race into it. Talk about the black community. He has taught the black community, you don't have to act like Jesse Jackson. You don't have to act like Al Sharpton. You can talk about the issues. Jared, what do you think about that comment?
Well, I mean, again, it's specifically designed to demonstrate the fact that if you are willing to be simultaneously called a member of the black community, the first black president, and willing to eschew a civil rights and human rights legacy, then you will be rewarded. And that is entirely the point by dismissing Sharpton and Jesse Jackson and, of course, all the others to which Obama would be connected, namely Dr. King or Malcolm X or many others, that if you are willing to separate yourself from that trajectory, from that tradition, then you can be at the same time a black president and dismiss the issue of race, which is
Marion?
Unbelievable.
Well, I am an amateur, I use that word advisedly, but I am a grassroots historian. I don't have a degree in history, but I have done a lot of historical work, research, background in journalism. And my father says I'm the griot of our family, the storyteller of our family and larger black American community. And Mr. Obama does not come from our population. That's the first thing.
That?
Well, just like I'm not Kenyan and I'm not half Kenyan, and neither Mr. Obama nor myself is Ethiopian, Mr. Obama does not come from the black American population. Mr. Obama's mother was a white American whose family historically owned black Americans, were slave owners, and his father came on an airplane in the 20th century of his own free will from East Africa. My family, like yours, Jared's and Glen's, comes out of the people who were brought from Africa in one of the largest forced migrations in human history to the Americas and to what is now the U.S. We've been here before there was a U.S., and we are racially mixed, but our families come out of the black people who were enslaved in this country. Mr. Obama is the exact opposite. He comes from a white slave-owning family, and his father's Kenyan, and that's actually, I think it's really an insult to our history.
So you think that that makes a difference in his outlook and then, of course, the policies that he might pursue?
He has not lived our lives. Even his name, none of us, it's not a coincidence. Most black people in the Americas, because we are part of the Afro-descendant population of the Americas. We are part of a large group of people who were all brought by about 8 European countries that still exist today on slave ships. And Mr. Obama's family was not enslaved. They didn't have to live with the aftermath of slavery. His family benefited. They were white slave owners. They propagated children from black women without marriage. They sold those children, etc. They were involved in human breeding. And his outlook, I would like him to be honest, but he's never actually mentioned that. However, he did make a speech last year to the National Urban League saying that he opposes reparations, which I would substitute him with a person who is one of his counterparts, one of his cousins who's not half African, and who is also, just like himself, a slave owner descendant, and have that white person stand up and say the same thing in front of us. Would people accept that? He's against reparations when he's not part of the population that is owed reparations for our suffering and our history and continued suffering.
That's a very interesting point. Glen, what do you...
Two large results. They're related but distinct. One is how white people have interpreted it, and Bill Bennett probably is a good spokesman for that interpretation, and certainly that is a hostile interpretation. But the other is that it has caused internally a near collapse of black politics because of confusion, because of a variety of factors. But the end result is a collapse of black politics in the face of this new phenomenon. And when black politics in the United States collapses, that means progressive politics collapses. Because